Welcome back to the 6th episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How we doing, Chum?
We are doing good. I finally get to see the second part of this Joker story.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. So this is episode 6, Batman is Riled. Episode aired Thursday, January 27th, 1966. Directed by Don Weiss, and the writer was Robert Dozier, which we last episode we found out that was his William Dozier's son. So
Correct. Yeah. So, and also this is based on a comic as well, which is pretty close to the actual comic story as far as him getting a utility belt and everything.
yeah, I
So,
was surprised how close it was to the original story.
oh, did you read it?
I skimmed it.
It's pretty short actually, but yeah, I mean everything from the the museum having an exhibit of comedians and not including the Joker to him, we don't actually see him sing opera, but he appears at the opera house, uses his now in the case of the comic, I think the utility belt is much more obvious.
Oh, yes, it is. I noticed that too. And not only that, they actually laid out what his utility belt looked like.
Oh,
You
in the
know,
comic,
they had
yeah, they actually
they
like
had
tell
a
you everything that's in
panel
it.
of it and all his little gadgets in it.
Yep,
So I thought that was pretty cool.
absolutely. So yeah, did you remember anything about this episode on the rewatch, or did it feel like it was completely new?
It was new. So I don't remember seeing this episode before.
Yeah,
So
I've seen it, but yeah, I didn't remember everything that happened. I didn't remember how they got out of it or whatnot. So yeah, when we last left them, the dynamic duo were about to get revealed. Their secret identities were about to be revealed to the world on TV. And
yes.
this was the first time, I think we pointed out, this was the first time that the both of them had been in jeopardy in a cliffhanger at the same time.
Yeah. And now we got to find out if they're actually going to get out of it.
That's right.
So we got the old Magic Batman.
We got Magic
So
Batman.
we got Magic Batman. So Magic Batman, will Batman and Robin's identities get revealed? Will it end their career as crime fighters? Here we go. See what the old Magic Batman says. I have to turn to see it. My sources say no. So their identities will not be revealed according to Magic Batman.
Magic Batman, pretty smart.
All right, so let's dive into this episode. Batman and Robin were captured last episode after being doused with laughing powder from Joker's utility belt. Joker plans on unmasking them on live television. Batman pulls a stun grenade from his utility belt and throws it at the ceiling. It explodes, setting off the sprinkler system. Batman and Robin break loose. Joker throws his own smoke bomb and escapes. Joker climbs a ladder and tries to escape on the catwalk. Batman uses his batarang and rope to climb up there. Batman blocks Joker's path with bat cuffs ready. Joker throws some confetti at Batman and it ties him up. Joker escapes. Batman and Robin return to the Batcave defeated as the Joker makes the evening news. Joker leaves them a clue to his next crime. He who laughs last good. Alfred states that it should be laughs well, not laughs good. Batman explains that's it. Professor James, if I get this name right, Professor James J. Laughwell. He just came back from an African safari with some rare artifacts. They are being stored at the they are being stored at the last longer warehouse. Hey, you know what I forgot to put in there? I forgot to put in when Alfred was talking, they were back in the Batcave.
That's all right. We got it.
Yeah, I think we kind of figured that out. At the last longer warehouse, Batman and Robin use the bat rope to gain entry. They crash through the window, catching the Joker red-handed. A fight ensues. Joker and his henchmen get the upper hand. As they retreat, Batman throws a stun grenade. The explosion sets off a pre-planned trap by the Joker. Batman and Robin are covered in confetti. Signs float down from the ceiling on balloons stating, "Phooey on Batman! Poor boy wonder! Hooray for the Joker!" Holy 4th of July! The Joker switched out Batman's utility belt for a Joker replica. Back at the Batcave, Batman analyzes the Joker's replica utility belt, looking for clues. Frustrated, the dynamic duo can do nothing but go about their business. The next day, Batman and Robin christen the SS Gotham. Batman suspects the champagne has been tampered with and claims he has a headache. Batman takes a pill and then gives one to Robin. When Batman breaks the bottle on the ship, a gas is released. The Cape Crusaders fall unconscious to the ground. Joker's henchmen appear and take Batman and Robin captive. Back at the Joker's secret hideout, Joker goes on television and asks for the title to the SS Gotham, or he will behead Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin jump up, surprising the Joker. Thanks to the antidote they took, Batman and Robin were playing possum. A fight ensues, and Batman is able to take the Joker's utility belt. As confetti is falling from the ceiling, Batman and Robin capture the Joker. Back at Wayne Manor, Aunt Harriet is upset with Bruce for letting Dick watch the news about the Joker. Aunt Harriet insists that Dick must have his next piano lesson. Alfred states he will bring Dick milk and cookies.
I think
What are the
I
things?
think I think I have to correct you. I think the way you stated it, it's a little misleading because when they're in the warehouse, uh, Batman uh, puts what is tries to implement what he thinks is a smoke bomb, but since the Joker has switched to belts, that's when all the confetti comes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so so yeah, the Batman is wearing the Joker's utility belt because he slipped it around him over
Yeah,
his
that's
own
right.
belt. He didn't switch belts because that would be weird. Um, he actually just laid his belt over his, and Batman didn't notice until it was too late. But
That's all.
anyway, I'm sorry, you were going to say?
I was going to say one of the things I noticed when I was checking out the comic book is those signs that said "Booey on Batman" and stuff. That was in the comic book.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty straight up adaptation. I mean, there's a few things that are, added, but uh that's the wonderful thing about this, at least this first season, is that a lot of these stories are actually based on real actual comic stories, and ones that were only a few years old at this point. So it's not like they were doing stories that now I will say they were a couple years old at the time that the show came out. DC editorial was trying to move Batman to be more serious. So in the comics that were coming out at the time, I think Julie Schwartz, who was the editor at the time, was trying to make Batman a little bit more serious, but then he had to, they had to contend with the series as well. So there's this kind of weird transition period where Batman is doing some kind of silly things that we wouldn't think that he would do now, but also is trying to get a little bit more serious than he was, 5, 6, 10 years earlier. Um, some interesting things about this episode is that the fight in the warehouse has no expletives, has no like bam, boo, zonk, wows, or anything like that. And then later on when they're at the Joker's warehouse or at the Joker's lair and they start fighting again, it takes a good minute or so until the layover effects kick in. So it seemed like, I don't know if they were just trying to see what would happen without it, but I could tell without those effects, those graphics, you could really see like the stuntmen involved and everything like that. It was pretty obvious.
Yes, I have to agree with you on that. It's funny how Robin goes from being shorter to a lot taller.
Yeah, like a lot more like, yeah, a lot more butch. Uh but apart from that, I think it's a great story overall. Uh it's the debut of Cesar Romero as the Joker, and it's the debut of the live action version of the Joker. And I think this is something that will last for a while. I appreciate his efforts. I read one source that said that this is his best performance as the Joker. I don't know if that's true. So going forward, we'll have to see if that is true, if that lands for us. But I don't think so. But I certainly know a lot of the stories he goes like that he's in later on are get really ridiculous. And he's the third of the rogues gallery that is appearing, and I don't know. It almost seems like, as good as Cesar Romero is, I mean, I feel like, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler and Burgess Meredith as the Penguin are at least on par with his performance. I mean, all
Mhm.
three of them are so good. It's no
Yeah,
wonder that all three of them are included in the movie that comes out later this during this run.
I totally agree with you. So I thought his performance was really good too.
Yep.
So,
I also want to note, because I did some research. Guess what? I did some research because we were talking, I think, in the last episode or so about Aunt Harriet Cooper, Miss Cooper. Um, she is not related to Bruce Wayne. I think he calls her Mrs. Cooper. I don't know if he refers to her as Aunt Harriet, but I think if he does, he refers to her as Dick's Aunt Harriet, because she is a character that is supposed to be related to Dick Grayson uh, on his mother's side. She actually appeared in the comics in June of 1964. So she was not a creation just for the series. She actually showed up because at this point in the comics in the 60s, Alfred is dead.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they made the editorial
Hmm.
decision to kill Alfred. So he's dead. And for some reason in the series, they decided they wanted to have him in there anyway, which is, I'm glad,
Mhm.
because a Alfred is just, I can't imagine the show without him. Alan Napier, who plays Alfred, is really great. Adds something to it. And I think also you could argue that his popularity in the series made them bring back Alfred in the comics.
Yeah.
I think it was after the series debuted and had a nice run and people got used to Alfred being there, that they editorial had a mandate to bring Alfred back.
Unfortunately, Alfred's dead again. So,
Well,
current run, in the current run of Batman, Alfred Alfred's been killed.
is he
So,
still dead?
yeah, he's dead.
Wow, I knew that
He's
he had died, but I thought that he had come back in some way.
not yet.
Hmm.
So, I'm
Ah, it's
waiting
been a
for it
few years,
eventually.
right?
Yeah, it's been a few years. So,
Wow.
he was killed by Bane.
Interesting.
So, but I've been waiting for his return because it's Alfred. He's going to come back at some point.
Yeah, that's got to be about like 5 years ago or so right now, right?
I don't know if it's been 5 years yet,
Yeah.
but it's been a few years.
Um and so with his death, I take it Aunt Harriet did not reappear in the comics.
No, she didn't. Actually, Bruce Wayne's not even living in his mansion right now. He's living in a brownstone.
Interesting.
And
It,
and recently he just lost the mansion too to Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage owns Wayne Manor at the moment.
hmm. Wow.
So
Yeah, I need to catch up. As far as Aunt Harriet goes, Harriet Cooper, she is pretty much like I said in the show, she's in a lot of episodes, and she's in the comics from the 60s, but she does not last. As soon as pretty much Alfred comes back from the dead, in that storyline, she leaves. And well, they say that she can still stay, but she's not seen much after that. I'm not sure
so
exactly when the last episode was, and I don't think I don't think she made it out of the 60s. I don't know. I don't think, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think she's been in a comic since the 60s.
so she was basically just a replacement for Alfred while he was gone.
She was a replacement for Alfred, yes. And I think there was the prevailing opinion that there should be a woman living in that household. It did not seem appropriate that two, young bachelor men or, were living together. So they were kind of sensitive to that in the comics, and they were sensitive to that in the TV series as well. That's why Aunt Harriet is there. Um, but I think in the comics she does find out that that Bruce and Dick are Batman and Robin, but I don't think she ever finds out in the series.
That only makes sense though, living there with him all the time. That'd
Yeah, I mean,
be hard to hide.
well, I mean, yeah, they do go fishing a lot. I I really appreciate this episode. Not only I think are Adam and Bert still really good in the roles, playing it straight, as well as some of the other characters too. But like we've already said, Cesar Romero is great as a Joker. Nancy Kovac as Queenie. We talked about this last time, where this is. I don't want to say that she's like the premortal, or if you will, like a prelude to Harley Quinn, but in some ways she is. She does a lot. She doesn't just sit around and be pretty. She's pretty active in committing some of these crimes with Joker in this.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the one who actually hands Batman the champagne, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep. She does. She just appears out of nowhere. Here you go.
There you go. So yeah, so I think but I mean, she's certainly stunning. I don't think she makes it past this story. I don't think I think every time we see the bad guys, I think they have a revolving door of women that they hang around with. Same way with their henchmen. I don't think we see recurring henchmen, but I guess going forward we can take a look at that too.
Yep.
Anything else about this episode that of note for you?
Not not really. I did notice the SS Gotham was the same name of the ship in the comic book too. I did notice that.
Yeah, like I said, it is amazing to read these comics and be like, holy smokes, they really did uh take a lot from the comics. I mean, these are straight up adaptations. This one and the Penguin one we just watched are really, really close.
Yeah, I was
Um,
surprised how close.
yeah, and yeah, I do think it's a shame that the creative team on the comics never get noted in the credits for the TV series, but you know, the producers gotta get his son some work, I guess. I get his son some props.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Did you have a shout out, Mike?
I do have a shout out. I was talking about. I'm gonna probably give a shout out. Try to, when we do these, to reference some other item of Batman '60s series that I really appreciate. Been going through some of the things that I've been using as resource material. I don't have a the actual book, an actual hard copy of this book, but digitally, I have a book called Gotham City, 14 Miles. You can see it on my Kindle there.
Yep.
This is a series of essays, 14 essays on what makes the 60s Batman series so special. And it's done by some pretty big names. Paul Kupperberg, Robert Greenberger, Chuck Dixon, Will Murray, a bunch of people who've actually written Batman or written of Batman in various places. The essays are really engaging and full of really good information. And this was written at a time before the TV series was available on Blu-ray and DVD and as much as it is now. So the people who were doing this at the time were doing some real work and doing the research because it wasn't just as easy. You couldn't just throw them on and watch them. You had to really kind of do some research and figure out what was happening at the time, as well as the actual episodes themselves were hard to find. So it's a good series. It's a good book. I definitely recommend it. It's available digitally. Like I said, I have it digitally, and you can also get a hard copy of it as well. It's I think it's primarily available through Amazon, but you can check your other booksellers as well.
All right. And for my shout out, I'm going to shout out about a book called Stack Deck: The Greatest Joker Stories Ever Told.
Oh, very
I,
nice.
and I've had this for quite a while. I think I got it in the 90s, actually.
Is
So,
this story in there?
yes, this is just what I was getting ready to say. Batman, or the Joker's utility belt, is in this book. So I'm
Nice.
actually on page 76. So that's why I got to look it over, because I had it in my hand. And see if you can see it. There's one of
Right.
the threads I was talking about where they have his Joker's utility belt laid out.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Those are always fun. I always liked having, like, whenever they did like what's in the utility belts, or when they describe like what's in the Bat Cave, or everything that's on the Batmobile, how it works and everything like that. I always found those things really cool when I was a kid.
yeah. Now this is a collection of Joker stories. It's got a bunch of them in it. Joker's utility belt, the Red Hood, which is basically the origin story of the Joker, at least the original one.
Hmm.
So a lot of stories like that. So really good book. If you ever come across a copy, I suggest picking it up.
It looks
It's got a
nice.
lot of older stories in it. I think the latest story it has in it is a Joker story with Batman and Robin Jason Todd.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the newest story in it is up to Jason Todd. So
Gotcha. Is
before
that the
he
one
was
where Jason Todd is killed by the
nope,
Joker? Okay.
no. It's one it's one before it. I've read it a long time ago. I haven't read it recently. What is it called? It's got Catwoman in it too, I just noticed. Um
Well, the Joker is in some of the best comics that of Batman. We talked a little bit, I think, last time about how he kind of is a little bit used too much, especially recently.
yeah.
But back in the day, you had to wait, like, I think he was only in one of the comics from Batman, like at least like maybe just once a year or so. So, I mean, they were few and far between, and they usually were pretty good.
Yeah, they were. I remember when I started collecting comics, I was always excited when a Joker story popped up because it was rare. And I remember after Tim Drake became Robin, waiting for the Joker to make his appearance, and they actually did a special miniseries of
Right, the Joker's wild.
Robin 2, The Joker's Wild
Yep.
miniseries.
Yep.
And I think that's the first incident where Tim Drake has to face the Joker. So,
I think that's true. I think that's true.
but there's a picture from that Jason Todd story.
Nice. Nice.
So,
Now, do you think that your interest in wanting to read all of the stories with the Joker in it stemmed from the series?
probably.
Or do you think it was strictly just because of the stories that you read in the comics?
That's probably because of the television shows, the television series.
Yeah, he's also
because
pretty
that was
prominent in the cartoons as well.
my first introduction to Batman was the television series. So I remember seeing it before I even saw Super Friends, or that I remember seeing Super Friends. So
The none of the rogues gallery that we think of were included in the 1940s two serials that they did with Batman, which I've never seen, by the way. One of these days I'd like to watch those. Heck, maybe we can talk about those on this show.
I
Um,
used to I used to have those on VHS, and I don't know what happened to them
they
because because
I don't know what happened to VHS, so you're
I still have a VHS player, but if I put any tapes in it, it eats them. So
I know that I know they're available on DVD. And I've thought about buying the set several times, but for one reason or another, I just haven't got around to watching them. I would like to, but my point is that I believe in doing my research that in one of the serials, I'm not sure if it's the first one or the second one, but the Joker was supposed to be the villain, but because of things happening in the world, they wanted to use somebody who was a little bit more associated with either the Nazis or Japan. So they went with a sort of a spy, you know, villain rather than having the Joker in it. So I like I said, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if if it works either way. But and regardless, we had to wait till everybody had to wait until 1966 July or January, sorry, to see the Joker for the first time on the screen. And what a beauty he is. I mean, in color, I love the outfit. I mean, it just looks perfect.
so from what I remember of that old series, I remember it was in black and white, and it felt 1930s, 40s. So I wouldn't mind going back and revisiting that series.
Well, maybe after we are done with the 60 series, we can go back to the past and see that series as well.
Sounds good to me. All right, are you ready to get out of here, Batchum?
I am ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Just wait, the worst is yet to come.